And over the next 2 decades, African Airlines will need to hire 63,000 new professionals, pilots, technicians, cabin crew members, to ensure excellent service delivery. This is one of the primary growth estimates given by American aircraft maker Boeing for the continent's commercial aviation industry in its recently released Commercial Market Outlook. According to an estimate published by Business Insider Africa, the commercial aviation business on the continent will be worth $400 billion by the year 2040. Analyst from financial derivatives company, Lawrence Messi, joins me now to discuss more. It's great to have you here.
It's nice to be here.
You play football?
Yes, I do.
Oh, Lionel Messi.
No, I'm a keeper.
Oh, you're a keeper?
Yeah.
Okay, it's good. It's gonna be good. It's gonna be a different game seeing you on the field of play. But this is your field of play. Taxation, correlation with poor network in telecommunication industry. Do you think the industry folks are overtaxed, overlevied?
Yes, I think that's quite accurate because a recent study released by the NCC actually shows that MNOs, that's mobile network operators, are actually imposed 40 different types of taxes, levies, permits, and fees. So there's an issue with multiplicity of taxes that it's largely referred to, where one source of income is being taxed over and over by different rates and different charges. And for any form of business, that's actually a disincentive to continue operations and continue investing.
You think the various government agencies have seen the telecoms as the new cash cow, the new oil, so they're milking it?
Yeah, that's actually a quite accurate assumption. But then, I mean, every government seeks to make revenue in order to finance its developmental projects and capital expenditure. But then there has to be a trade-off between what does this imply for private sector players like the telecoms industry. You're not really motivating them to do more investment, and it's going to have an adverse effect on less served areas of the society.
Everybody out there thinking on the street thinks these telcos are sitting on a pile of cash.
Well, you could be right to make the assumption, but you also need to remember that telecommunications is a heavily capital-intensive business. So they actually have to have a pile of cash, as it were, in order to finance these operations. If they don't have this cash, then it's more or less not viable for them to be in operations. So that is actually just a good sign of a good business model. It doesn't necessarily reflect that they are not paying taxes or that they need to be charged more tax necessarily.
Are there other ways, Lawrence, that you think this increased and multiple taxation in the telecoms industry could hurt the economy as well?
Well, of course it can. And the way it does that is choose what you call access gaps. So access gaps basically is a social term for when one segment of the society has less access or less penetration for information technology services. And this happens due to the multiplicity of taxes, because these increased taxes reduce the profits after tax, or the residual income that these MNOs have to invest into infrastructure to penetrate into more segments. So without these added funds to invest into underserved segments, this increases what's called a digital divide. That's the difference between those who have access to IT services and those who do not. And as long as that occurs, things like financial inclusion, digital economy initiatives will never be functional as long as there's an underserved segment of the population.
Let's talk about the Africa's commercial aviation sector. Is said to be will be worth about $400 billion US dollars by the year 2040. Do you think we're really growing that fast, or what do you think the growth factors are?
Well, I believe that those assumptions could be accurate, because if you take into account that we're talking about the whole of Africa, not just Nigeria, West Africa, it's actually quite feasible. And some of the growth factors include the urbanization rates currently happening in Africa with a youthful demographic. Second is the rising income levels, especially of the middle class in Africa. Thirdly is the increased tourism initiatives being implemented across places like Ghana, Kenya, Rwanda, and even Cote d'Ivoire as well. I mean, these three factors are stimulating travel. They are also increasing incomes for local and small businesses, and more or less increasing development within these countries. all of which is causing increased movement, increased mobility. And let's not even forget one of the most important things is the free mobility of trade and resources that's enveloped in the African Free Continental Trade Agreement. So all of these factors are incentivizing movement, travel, and of course, airline carriers and operators would definitely have to increase businesses, hire more workers, and would have an increased valuation.
Interesting. Would you like to see more of these airlines listed on exchanges in the various jurisdictions?
I think
right now it's basically Kenya Airways and maybe a few.
Yeah, you're right. I think it would be good to have some of these airlines listed so that not only for the regulatory aspect, but also for the capitalization aspect and the supervision aspect. Because if they're listed, then there's a lot more that can be open to the public. I mean, in Nigeria, there's no listed airline, and I mean, that calls to question the development of our own aviation sector. So more of these airlines being listed would be good for stock market development.
We need international airlines listed in Nigeria, yes, not just the local ones. But thank you so much, Lawrence Messi. Thank you very much so much for coming from a financial derivatives company.